and almost scorned compared to The Rock we're used to seeing. Public reaction has been mixed. Some people say he looks healthier and fresher, like he's finally found a more sustainable version of himself. But others argue that he's lost what made him The Rock, that without the oversized frame, he just doesn't stand out in the same way. The memes have come fast too, with people joking that he's gone from The Rock to the Pebble. So
just looking at this, do people judge you on like if you're, I don't know, like people are so used to things being the way it is until somebody or something changes. Like I know The Rock is trying to make a change right now, but like the video said, mixed opinions about it. I'm not very sure to what he's doing with them. All I can say is if he's healthy, if he's living the best life he can, honestly, I'm gonna support him on that because number one, what's good? Here's your boy Joseph the Plug, and sorry for the noise that's behind me. A bunch of cars moving back and forth. You can probably hear them. And my brother and sister, my mom talking in the background. Gotta take an inhaler. Yes, I have asthma. Anyways, today we're gonna be talking about why The Rock is losing millions and millions of dollars by my boy. I forgot his name already. I just put his channel up there. Today we're going to be reacting to why The Rock is losing millions of fans. So let's get straight down to it. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to make more channels as I go. Right now, focusing on this channel, then I'll focus on the other channel, then the next channel. Like I'm trying to create an anime channel, or no, it's I'm telling my own story on that channel, and the other one is a gaming channel. Now, I'll probably explain it at the end. But anyways, here's my TikTok. So go to that one. I'll be posting more on there. But anyways, let's get to the nitty gritty of the whole entire thing. So let's play on The Rock.
for as long as we've known him, The Rock has been a huge man, heavily muscle-bound and dominant in size and stature. At his peak, he weighed over 300 pounds, and he's built his image and career on being the biggest guy in the room. But recently, fans have noticed something unusual. Pictures of The Rock have surfaced where he looks significantly smaller. He's slimmed down, reportedly losing over 60 pounds, and it's left him looking far more ordinary than the action figure physique he's carried for years. Even his face tells a story. It's slimmer, tighter, and almost scorned compared to The Rock we're used to seeing. Public reaction has been mixed. Some people say he looks healthier and fresher, like he's finally found a more sustainable version of himself. But others argue that he's lost what made him The Rock, that without the oversized frame, he just doesn't stand out in the same way. The memes have come fast too, with people joking that he's gone from The Rock to the Pebble. So
just looking at this, do people judge you on like if you're, I don't know, like people are so used to things being the way it is until somebody or something changes. Like I know The Rock is trying to make a change right now, but like the video said, mixed opinions about it. I'm not very sure to what he's doing with them. All I can say is if he's healthy, if he's living the best life he can, honestly, I'm gonna support him on that because number one, in life you're supposed to you're supposed to prioritize your health and happiness over somebody else's like want you to appear like a superhero or a villain or something like that. Like basically he's trying to be the bigger man by being healthier, because probably he's kind of going to be done with wrestling sooner or later, so probably that's the reason he's not have that monster physique. I don't know, so
what's really going on? It's well known that The Rock's size has been questioned his entire career. He's admitted experimenting with PEDs as a teenager, but many believe he's continued using them in secret for years. And at 53 years old, the reality is simple. The body can only take so much. Maybe slimming down is about health, because he simply can't keep pushing himself to those extremes forever. But maybe it's about something else. For years, The Rock has been Hollywood's biggest safe bet, a guaranteed box office draw who always plays a larger-than-life version of himself. But that same formula has also limited him. Cutting down could be more than just a health choice. It might be about changing his image and finally chasing the kind of roles he's never gotten. The question now is whether The Rock is about to flip the script on Hollywood, on his image, and on everything we thought we knew about him.
Olvida todo lo que sabías sobre los juegos de guerra. El juego de acción a gran escala War Thunder te traerá una tormenta de experiencia.
My bad. I should have warned y'all. I'm gonna have ads too, so keep that in mind.
Earlier this month, The Rock attended the Venice Film Festival for his new film, The Smashing Machine. Unlike his previous work, this isn't a superhero movie or a big-budget blockbuster. It's a character piece about Mark Kerr, the MMA fighter who shot to the top in the late 90s before drugs and personal struggles brought everything crashing down. The film is directed by Benny Safdie and stars Emily Blunt as Kerr's wife, Dawn. To play the part, Dwayne went all in. He bulked up to match Kerr's imposing frame and wore facial prosthetics over his nose, brow, cheeks, and jaw. For the first time, he wasn't selling himself as The Rock. He was disappearing into someone else. When the film premiered in Venice, the reaction spoke volumes. The audience gave The Rock a standing ovation that went on for over 15 minutes, and he was visibly emotional, fighting back tears. Reviews called his performance vulnerable and career-defining, comparing it to films like The Wrestler and Raging Bull. This was something The Rock had never experienced before. He wasn't just being talked about as a movie star, but as an actor. And at the press conference, he admitted this was something he'd wanted to do for a long time.
I had been very fortunate to have the career that I've had over the years and make the films that I've made. There was just voice inside of me, the little voice that, well, what if I could do more, and I want to do more, and what does that look like?
What's interesting is the kind of role he chose. Mark Kerr's story is defined by the very things The Rock has always avoided on screen: defeat, weakness, and vulnerability.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. Because if you look at The Rock, movies like, for instance, Jumanji, it portrays him as the same thing in real life. Strong, he's brave, know what he's doing. He just, he's like, I know what they are saying when they say he's limited to certain movie types because of the way he carries himself in the same movie. Like, for instance, Jumanji, Fast and Furious, the same personality goes. So I see why he wants this change to happen. It kind of makes sense to me that he wants this change, and I kind of agree, because if I was in that state, I would want to change too. I wouldn't want to keep playing this big guy who's big, bad, and could do all the things that are out of this world. But I would look for a change too. Not gonna lie to you, I would too. But you gotta do what you gotta do to get there, and he's there. Hopefully his movie go viral.
Kerr was a champion, yes, but he was also an addict, a man who broke down publicly, who lost fights, and lost control of his life. For an actor who literally had it written in his contracts that he can never lose a fight, stepping into the skin of a man like Kerr is almost as far from the Rock formula as you can get. Dwayne said he's had an itch to do this for years, but why only now? Because for most of his career, he's pretty much just played himself. Whether you saw him in Fast and Furious, Jumanji, San Andreas.
Yeah, like I was saying, like that's exactly what I was just talking about like a minute ago. Because in certain movies, he just portrays himself. Like, what can I do to a big guy who's so full of himself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand why they call him the he can only play the same role every time. And like, he just listed these movies, he literally plays the same thing over and over. So I see why he wants to change. And it kind of makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
Skyscraper, or Jungle Cruise, his movies always felt like you were just watching The Rock, the ripped action hero who cracks jokes, saves the day, and almost never loses. That became his trademark.
Oh yeah, and another thing, I think, because like, John Cena probably is the same thing too, because if you take a look at The Rock and a look at John Cena, they kind of got the same, physical physique. They big, larger than life. But the thing that portrays them for being movie stars is the way that they would play these characters. For instance, John Cena has played the villain. He's played the villain, hero, a guy who's broken down. Like, I think that I think it has to do with like characteristics, because if you're gonna play a movie, I think that it has to do based around your character. Most of the time it is around your physique, but most of the time like it has to be around character or it's not gonna work. So I think that's why The Rock just wanted a change to begin with. That's really my opinion. That's how I think right now.
Just the size, but the invincibility. His movies were a product, and while they poured in massive audiences, nobody respected him as an actor. Still, the formula worked again and again. He became the highest paid actor in Hollywood, its safest box office bet, and built a global brand off that one role. And that's why the downsizing is so shocking. So the question is, what finally forced the reinvention? Well, it may have been due to concerns about his health. Just 3 months ago, The Rock appeared on Dr. Mark Hyman's podcast to speak in depth about his health. In the episode, he revealed a scare he had after learning one of the arteries in his heart may have a blockage.
A little bit before you and I met.
Yeah.
But just as we met.
Yeah.
I was looking at the valves and I had a complete cardiovascular workup. There was what looked to be some stuff inside the,
Like a buildup of
like
what
a
they thought was
buildup,
plaque.
what they thought was
And
plaque in the circumflex valve.
In the artery, yeah.
In the artery, right? And then when we looked at that on the old school traditional MRI and the scans, it looked like I had buildup. And then immediately the call to action was, all right, well, let's get you on this medication. It's a multi-month medication, and here we go. We got to get on it right away.
The Rock was shaken by this news and contacted Hyman for a second opinion. He underwent advanced AI scans which determined there was no plaque at all, just a harmless irregularity, not the life-threatening blockage he'd feared. On paper, everything looked fine, but moments like that tend to stick. At 53 years old, staring down the possibility of heart disease likely forced Dwayne to confront his own age and the limits of a body he's pushed to extremes for decades. But here's what stood out. Despite the podcast running 37 minutes and covering almost every aspect of his health, gut problems, nutrition, genetic testing, heart scares, there wasn't a single mention of steroids or performance-enhancing drugs. Not once. For someone whose physique has been questioned for so long, that silence said a hell of a lot. It's no coincidence the episode currently sits with more than half the viewers hitting the dislike button. Scroll through the comments and you'll see the same complaints over and over again. How can you spend nearly 40 minutes talking about The Rock's health and never address the elephant in the room? Getting rich.
Whoa, man, amazing car. When did you become a millionaire?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the younger generation.
Which in 2025 is actually way simpler than most people think. You don't need years of experience or an expensive degree, because today, AI isn't just helpful anymore, it's required. More and more careers now demand AI skills, and people who have them are 130%.
Hold on, is this an ad? Hold on, yeah, this is an ad. We're gonna skip it for the sake of this video. This is the ad. Okay, gonna sit it right about here.
The truth is, people aren't stupid. They know that if there's a single factor that's posed the biggest risk to The Rock's long-term health, it's the years of PED use, whether he admits it or not.
He'd been using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs for years, and what do you think that does? Well, aside from building a friggin' physique such as this, it also causes a host of negative side effects, one of which it sets you up for a heart attack. Your heart is going to grow bigger, which sounds good, but it's not. Left ventricular hypertrophy is not something that you want. It can increase LDL, lower HDL, and does a host of negative things to your body. Hence, The Rock had to make a change, or he wouldn't be able to change ever again because he'd no longer be with us.
One Instagram user posted a video analyzing The Rock's transformation, attributing it to him hopping off gear, and Dwayne actually responded.
The Rock has officially come off steroids. Now, love him or hate him, this guy is on the top of the charts when it comes to fake naturals. He's right up there with Mike O'Hearn. However, the show looks like it's finally coming to an end. He recently found out that he had plaque buildup in his circumflex artery from his decades of gear use. Now, the reason why this plaque buildup can be so fucking dangerous is because it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, or aneurysms, which is probably why he decided to hop off. Now, steroids in general, especially when taken in high doses, can have an extremely negative effect on your cholesterol, blood thickness, and your blood pressure, which can accelerate plaque buildup.
The Rock commented on the video saying, "This is 100% not true." For him to reply to a random person's post like this is extremely out of character, so it may be that what the guy said hit a nerve. According to The Rock, the reason for his weight loss has nothing to do with his health or steroids. He says that downsizing is for his next project, Lizard Music. In the film, he'll play an eccentric older man known as the Chicken Man, a role that requires a leaner, more fragile look than the comic book physique he's known for.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? The Chicken Man. Oh, so it's a next project in the movie theaters. Okay, got you. Now I'm following along.
And here's where the move makes sense. After pushing his body to the extreme for Mark Kerr, slimming down now kills two birds with one stone. It proves he can take on a very different kind of role, building credibility as an actor, and it also gives him cover to drop the muscle and protect his long-term health. At 53, after decades of strain, carrying that kind of bulk just isn't sustainable. But it seems that online, many people have seen right through his explanation. The Rock, after his doctor told him he had to stop the gear or he was going to have a heart attack. A different commenter pointed to Hulk Hogan, another wrestling superstar who built his career on size and recently died at 71 from a heart attack. It's the kind of headline that lingers in the back of your mind, especially if you're in the same world, built the same way, and pushing into your 50s. It makes the timing of The Rock's dramatic weight loss look less like coincidence and more like self-preservation. But here's the reality. Going from years of heavy cycles to suddenly cutting everything cold turkey doesn't just shrink you, it wrecks you. Which is why the smarter guess is that he hasn't stopped completely. He simply scaled down. Lower doses, a more sustainable regimen. Enough to still look great without pushing his body to the breaking point.
I believe that The Rock has now lowered his doses. I don't think he's 100% natural. When you go from abusing steroids for perhaps 30 straight years, your body is going to shut down. Your HPT axis is going to be lowered. You're not going to have testosterone produced. Your LH, FSH hormones are going to be in the toilet. And so if he actually just cut out testosterone cold turkey, he would have brain fog, he would feel horrible, he wouldn't be able to use the downstairs effectively. It wouldn't be very good.
While The Rock's slimmer size may be opening new doors in Hollywood, it may have closed one too, because trimming down doesn't just change how directors see him, it changes how the WWE sees him as well. Earlier in 2024, Dwayne stepped back into WWE storylines, even headlining WrestleMania alongside Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Fans speculated a full in-ring return was on the horizon, but now, looking at him in Venice, the chances feel slim. Without the bulk, The Rock loses a spectacle that made him larger than life in the ring. A cameo or promo, maybe, but the idea of him carrying another WrestleMania main event the way he once did, that's looking more unlikely than ever. One fan summed it up perfectly, saying, "It's hard to be the final boss when he's half his size. He isn't the hulking figure that Cody has to overcome. Unless he beefs back up, Rock vs Rhodes or Rock vs Reigns doesn't appear to be the matchup it would have been 2 years ago. From everything we hear about The Rock's ego, I doubt he'd want to show up smaller than the guy he'd be facing." Dwayne's not the only wrestler turned actor who's had a massive downsize recently. In 2024, fans noticed the same.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this guy. If y'all don't know who this guy is, right on the side, hold on, this guy right here, yeah, he played in, I believe he played in, he played in Avengers, as Drex, and then he played in some kind of horror movie, I forgot what it was, but he's a great actor in my case, not in my case, but in my opinion, and I forgot that he was another wrestler who, downsized, so yeah, I forgot he was another wrestler who downsized. If y'all know what I mean. Ugh. Anyways, let's continue this video.
Thing with Dave Bautista. Pictures surfaced of him looking far slimmer than before, a clear step away from the heavy, muscle-bound frame that defined his peak years. Bautista is a few years older than The Rock, and his decision to downsize came with the same unspoken message. At this age, carrying that kind of bulk just isn't sustainable. The risks are too high, and the health costs are too great. Bautista admitted as much himself. After bulking up to over 300 pounds for Knock at the Cabin, he said the size was miserable to carry. He slimmed down through diet changes, intermittent fasting, and jiu-jitsu, explaining that the lighter frame made him feel healthier, more mobile, and more comfortable in his own body.
And then I noticed, the more I trimmed down, the better I felt. And I also noticed the more I trimmed down, the better I looked on camera. the better I look next to other actors.
This was an added bonus for Batista, but it's clear his primary motivation was his health and longevity. It's no coincidence that both his and The Rock's transformation happened around the same age. And this is where the comparisons get even more interesting, because while The Rock and Batista have arrived at similar points physically, the way they've approached Hollywood couldn't be more different. From the start, Batista didn't chase the same kind of stardom The Rock did. Yes, he broke out in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead of cashing in on that success with generic action movies, he deliberately sought out directors who valued performance and character. That's why you've seen him in Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049 and Dune, and Rian Johnson's Knives Out. These films still made him a household name, but in a very different way. They showcased him as a versatile actor, someone respected by critics and filmmakers, not just a bankable star.
What he's accomplished is not something I'm after. You know, I like to think that I'm a character actor and I'm after diverse roles. You know, I think we all want different things.
Batista approaches acting like a student, keen to learn the craft, prove himself, and disappear into his roles. For The Rock, it's always been about the optics. How badass does a role make him look? How many tickets will the movie sell at the box office? How does it reflect on his brand and his businesses? It was all about ego, and it always has been, which makes the timing of The Smashing Machine and the upcoming Lizard music even more interesting. In the span of just 2 projects, Dwayne has gone both bigger than ever and smaller than ever, bulking up to embody Mark Kerr, then downsizing dramatically to play a frail older man. On the surface, they look like opposite moves, but at the core, they're the same thing, an attempt to finally climb the one mountain he hasn't conquered. Because as much as The Rock has nailed box office dominance, global fame, and business success, there's one thing he's never had: credibility as an actor, and the cracks in his old formula have already started to show. Black Adam was marketed as his passion project, a film that would change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. Instead, it bombed, and worse, The Rock was exposed for trying to take over the franchise, pushing Henry Cavill's Superman return and maneuvering to make himself the centerpiece of DC's future. When the film tanked, so did his plan, and Dwayne was quietly pushed aside. Then came Red One.
This game.
I'm 100% sorry, guys. Nothing I can do about it.
You're not ready for it.
Yeah, we're gonna skip.
His big Christmas movie, which was laughed at online and dismissed as another overproduced misfire. And
dang. Goodness gracious. Now I see the downside of being a one-man character now. Because they're like, what his explanation is portraying The Rock as a one, how should I, like a one-trick pony, I should say. Because if you really think about it, The Rock, he said that ego was the main thing, how many tickets it could sell. And not going to say that The Rock did sell a lot of tickets. When it comes down to being an actor, it's not just the physique that makes you good, nor the role that makes you good. It's basically how you play the roles and make the movie even better than it was. Due to people who have ego, seeing if this character will make you, you know, look cooler, sell your brand out more. Really, when it comes on to the acting world, it's basically about selling out that character's emotion, the moving, just all of that element like comes together when it comes down to acting. Because if you don't sell the acting, you're just gonna rely on if, you know, the role is good for you. Or most of the time it is good for you or not good for you because you can't sell out that character. Like say if I wanted to play, what's a bald guy? I might say Lex Luthor. Number one, I can't play that role because then I would be gender swapping. What I'm trying to say is, besides me saying gender swapping and stuff, like if I tried to play Lex Luthor, I don't think I could have played it off. But if I played on like, I think I would be able to play like Red Hood. What's a good character? I think I would be able to play I think I would be able to sell out Cyborg, but at the same time I don't think I could. That's what I think. But it's not based on the character, it's like based on if you fit in the character description of this, or even if you're looking for a change, see what you can change that makes more sense for you to fit into that character. So what I'm trying to say is that The Rock is basically like a one-trick pony, just, you know, going into these roles that literally fits him bar for bar, word for word, like everything that represents him. that character kind of represents him. He's going to go into it because it represents everything he stands for or whatever, or how he portrays himself. But when it comes down to acting, it's just basically, are you going to sell out this character, make this movie better by your acting skills, or are you just going to, fit the character into your ego? And basically what this guy is saying is The Rock was trying to actually sell himself more than the character. I don't know if that made any sense, but, it made sense to me.
Streaming didn't help his case either. Movies like Red Notice were promoted as record-breaking hits on Netflix, but critics tore them apart, reinforcing the idea that The Rock's films had become hollow products, all image and no substance. At the same time, the scandals and the myths were piling up.
The Rock has been outed for lying not once, twice, 3 times, but multiple times. For example, you all remember The Rock said, "Hey, this is my first time in this fast food restaurant."
This is the very first time that I have ever tried an In-N-Out burger.
"It's my first time eating this burger and fries." It was his third, with evidence. Why lie about it being your first time in...
It's probably his first time going to a restaurant, because let's take critics out of here right quick, because number one, I've ate a burger before, but I've never been to Chipotle before. You know what I'm saying? I've never been to In-N-Out before. No, dead serious. I haven't been to In-N-Out. It's probably like this. Let's say you eat a burger from Burger King, but you've never been to In-N-Out or Sonic and at their burger. Now you could have just said, The Rock could have just been a little bit more specific, like, this is my first time eating a burger from In-N-Out. I've never eaten this burger. I'm more eating like Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it simple, specific a little bit, so people will understand, because this is where hate critics like this man coming in and saying things like that. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to my own opinion. But that's what I feel. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it.
A fast food chain. I mean, why would you do that when there's video evidence showing that you're not? Why can't The Rock, for once in his life, simply tell us the truth? He lies about almost everything. He says exactly what you want to hear. Oh, The Rock eats 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day.
Well, I would say possible, almost 8,000 calories a day.
Sure he does. Sure he does, Rock. The Rock doesn't eat 6,000 calories a day. What's next? You think The Rock only drinks Zoa Energy? How do you think he got all that muscle? Because he's the hardest worker in the room? Because he's up at 4:30? We've seen The Rock's workouts. Using those bikini girl weights. Walking around, trying to make it look like it's harder than last time when he's lifting almost nothing. Or is it the steroids?
For years, people bought into The Rock's People's Champ persona. I mean, at one point, a poll even showed that 46% of Americans wanted him to run for president. He was presented as the ultimate success story, but that sheen has worn off. More and more, people see him as manufactured, a character just as scripted as the one he played in the WWE, and his film career has fed into that. For all his success, The Rock has never been taken seriously for his acting, which is why these new movies feel like more than just another role. It feels like a rebrand, a bid to finally get the respect that's eluded him for years. But the stakes go beyond Hollywood. The Rock's entire business empire has been built on his image. Terramana Tequila, Zoa Energy Drinks, Under Armour's Project Rock line, all of it has leaned on the idea of a man who's superhuman, which raises the question, what happens to that empire if the image changes? A slimmer Rock is healthier, sure, but he's also less of the comic book figure that the brand was built around. It's a risk, but it could pay off, because here's the truth. The Rock was admired, even idolized, but he was never really relatable. People wanted him as president because he embodied strength and success, not because he reminded them of themselves. Now, with age showing in his face and the bulk stripped away, there's a chance to present something different, a version of himself that isn't about perfection, but vulnerability.
You know, when you're in Hollywood, as we all know, and it had become about box office, and you chase the box office, and the box office in our business that we know is very loud, and it can be very resounding, and it can push you into a category and into a corner, and this is your lane, and this is what you do, and this is what people want you to be, and this is what Hollywood wants you to be. And I understood that, and I made those movies, and I liked them, and they were fun, and some made some were really good and did well, and some not so good. I think what I did realize is that the most important thing, I just had this burning desire and this just voice that was saying, well, again, what if? But what if there is more? And what if I can? And a lot of times it's harder for us to, or at least for me, sometimes to know what you're capable of when you've been pigeonholed into something. It's harder to know, wait, can I do that? I feel like I can. And sometimes it takes people who you love and you respect to say, you can. I don't think it's anything to prove to Hollywood as much as it's just for me now.
This actually came across.
So, sorry to cut him off for a minute. Now, sorry to cut him off, but when it comes down to like playing a character, is basically, for instance, Superman. I love what they did to Superman in the movie. They didn't make him like the almighty strong, like they didn't make him an all-out brawler, because they showed some intelligence in his fighting style and how he did it, and they showed some emotional, backgrounds of how vulnerable he was to when Lex Luthor showed out. Sorry for the noise in the background. But anyways, to like how Lex Luthor showed him a video and he said what's so bad about it. Then they like deciphered the ending of the part where his family wanted to make him rule that earth. And he felt so vulnerable at the time that like he just didn't know what to do. So whatever happened in the movie, I forgot what happened in the movie, but he finds his way and he did it. Now what I'm trying to say is that they made that Superman very relatable to other people, because in life there's other people who are kind of like helping out other people or doing something that they very like, and so something hits them tragically and they just don't know what to do. Another good movie, I don't know if there's any other good movies that talk about a strong character being vulnerable and also he's sharing it with other people, like Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. I forgot. Spider-Man is also a character that's relatable to some people. He was bullied as a teenager, became a superhero, still getting his butt whooped on a daily basis, but he's still going back to work like it ain't nothing. And to some people, some of us do the exact same thing. Like, for instance, I bet you right now that somebody's getting bullied, but he's still doing what he loves to do, despite of the bullying, despite of the cyberbullying, he's still doing it. You see, the thing about character or just playing a character on the big screen is not to just play the character and like make it feel, it's basically to make it relatable to other people out there, so they will have something to contribute to the movie, something they can relate to with the main character, side character, or somebody else in the the back. That's what I think. It makes sense.
As genuine, or at least more honest than his usual hardest worker in the room shtick. The Smashing Machine will be released on October 3rd, 2025. If it hits, we might see The Rock double down, taking on riskier roles and stepping away from the safe blockbusters. Who knows, he might shock the world and actually become a respected actor. But even if there's a chance of that, it won't happen overnight. He spent the last 15 years building up this cartoonish, invincible image, and it will take a very long time to break that down.
Wow. So The Rock is basically reinvented himself, which I respect. So he's basically trying to fill the gap on, instead of being the all perfect man, like, because no one in life is perfect besides Jesus, our Lord and Savior, amen. But we're as humans, we portray to be invincible, but at the same time we do have a little bit of like invulnerability. Like, for instance, the Superman that came out this year was amazing. It portrayed how a strong man, like, for instance, a strong man that sorry for the background, a strong man that who, stands up for anything, like he's strong, but then at some point in time you see him vulnerable, you see him crying, you see him, in a corner doing something that he shouldn't be doing, something that you see him, not, like, he's not supposed to do this. And he's just bawling down because he's vulnerable because of this and that. And in the Superman movie, it portrays how vulnerable Superman is and how, he bounced back from it. Like Spider-Man, I remember that how do I say, like, for instance, he thought he was very invincible the way he was carrying out in the Tobey Maguire movie. A reference to the Tobey Maguire movie in Spider-Man. In that Spider-Man, he was very in himself because he had the powers, but sooner or later his grandfather died. Now he feels vulnerable to it, and even though in some of the movies he's like portrayed as this superhuman, larger than life spectacle, deep down he's really not depressed, but he really feels like Uncle Ben's death was his fault. And not saying that it wasn't, because I'm not trying to go into that right now. I just feel like between selling a character that actually, represents some relatable stuff to the audience, makes it more likable to the audience rather than putting more money into the office box. Because if you make it relatable to the character, if you make the character relatable to other people out there, then you really don't got to worry about the office box. Is going to go in there regardless. But that's my reaction on how The Rock is rebranding himself. So I support him on that. Anyways, thank you for watching, and peace. Yeah, peace. My goodness, that was terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But I don't have anything else to say. But anyways, see y'all guys.